Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell.
Hey everybody, this is Anna Tower with the Sisters Enchanted, and this is an Astro forecast as a part of the Magic on the Inside podcast. As I said, I'm Anna. I'm the co-founder here at the Sisters Enchanted and one of our Expedition Astrology teachers. I am joined with Sarah Milne, our program director here at the Sisters Enchanted, and also one of our co-teachers for Expedition Astrology. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So this week we're looking at a theme of sensitivity and boundaries. What is this all about?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot going on this week with Cancer and Pisces, Neptune and the Sun. So I feel like the most important thing for us this week is to bear in mind we're going to feel quite sensitive at times. And we need those boundaries because that Pisces energy, it's sort of, we're all swimming together in that sea and we can pick up each other's emotions. If we're all feeling sensitive, we can pick up on each other's sensitivities and emotions. So the first thing for this is that the Sun is trine Neptune this week from Monday to Saturday. So that means that there's energy flowing really easily between the center of ourselves, the Sun, our ego, our creativity, our very essence of us, with Neptune, which is that kind of watery, foggy, sensitive energy. And Neptune is, of course, in its own Pisces, which makes it even more so. Now, we are in Neptune retrograde, which means that we might have a little bit more clarity in Neptune than normally, but we're still, I feel, going to be feeling very sensitive here. And it's going to be right at the center of our being. So this could make us feel quite sensitive to society because obviously Neptune and Pisces, it's sort of joining together for humanity. We might feel very sensitive about things that are going on in the world, things that are going on in our society. We might feel very sensitive to our imagination. We might get some moments of clarity in our imagination because Neptune is in retrograde. We might feel like we greatly care for others. We might kind of feel like, I really want to do this. I want to get involved in this and this and this. You might sort of like when you watch the news. I remember when I was first pregnant for the first time and there was a news about some sad things that happened to children, and I was all like, oh, I feel so personally affected because now my hormones are connecting with these mothers, and it was just tragic, and I cried for days. It's that
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I'm 8 months postpartum. I'm like on the other side of things supposedly, and I cry all the time over children and animals.
That's exactly it. So that's exactly what might well be happening when we have this sunshine Neptune. We're going to feel the feels from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And we might just want to get involved because the Sun's in Cancer. It might make us just I want to care for you. I want to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. But bear in mind, we can't do everything for everybody. And I think this might be a week where we kind of feel like I just want to I'm feeling all these feels, I'm feeling really emotional, and I just want to give everything of myself to everybody else, and then there's nothing left for yourself. And also there's nothing. I remember when I was my son was very sick when he was having his transplants, and the doctor kept saying to me, you've got to look after yourself or you can't look after him. And it's that kind of energy this week, I feel. So we are going to feel sensitive, but we do need some boundaries.
I love that, and I won't wax poetic about mythology, but I do often share the story when talking about Pisces energy, and it's just interesting tie-in because you were talking about that mother, when you're or a parent of any sort, a pet parent, like a child parent, any kind of parent, nurturing figure, that you can be really emotionally confronted by things that you see or hear about, especially in a space where you're vulnerable. And Pisces, the constellation in the sky, which I've shared before on other podcasts and things, is the two fish with their tails tied together, which in mythology is Aphrodite and her son jumping in the water to escape the attack of typhoon, and they turn into fish, and then they tie their tails together so that they don't lose track of each other. And that is very much that nurturing, we're going to get away. So Aphrodite's taking care of herself, but she's also attaching, like Pisces does, her son to her so that they don't get lost, because they're going into the sea where there's all the fishes in the sea, and they don't want to lose each other, and survival in that moment, but also empathy and caretaking and being a part of one another, and that joining, which I think is very interesting, especially when you're talking about that being very aware and emotionally kind of attached to things, emotionally confronted by things, because that's like what that constellation's like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have here the moon, we have Mercury. We have Mercury in Cancer. So Mercury is in Cancer and it's trine with Jupiter. So that's even more of this, because when Mercury is trine with Jupiter, so that energy is flowing well between Mercury and Jupiter. Like, remember, Jupiter blows things up. Jupiter gives us opportunities. Jupiter enlarges everything it touches. So this is going to boost our optimism. It's a really optimistic, it's really nice optimistic aspect, and our ease of communicating. But remember, we've got Mercury in Cancer, so we might kind of like feel again that we're communicating our own needs and our own boundaries to other people, and we might feel that what we are perceiving in their communication makes us then want to care, and that same kind of energy. So that's that energy of really needing our boundaries and having great sensitivity is kind of in that one as well. We might feel that we can solve problems in new ways through our communication, but with Jupiter in Pisces, the same as Neptune, it is going to like add to this whole kind of, we're all in this together, and I'm gonna like communicate with everybody and care about everybody, and I want to perhaps communicate for everybody as well. So if you're feeling like you really care about things going on in humanity because of Sun trine Neptune, you might then want to be everybody's voice and get involved in everything, and you can't do everything. So again, those boundaries are going to be important. Sensitivity and boundaries again right there,
because Cancer does want to take care of everybody else, and it forgets to take care of itself, like you were saying earlier, which was not a part of the Cancer part, but it does wants to, or doesn't even want to sometimes. I think just happens to take care of everybody else.
Absolutely. And I would say, if you look and see where Cancer and Pisces is in your chart, I think you'll find that what house they are in, you might find that they are some of the areas in your life this week that you really need to be careful about these boundaries and sensitivities that you're feeling.
As everybody goes to run off to go check where Cancer and Pisces is in their charts, which I always forget where everything is in my chart, and I will be checking when we're done.
So I think another aspect to look out for this week as well is that the Sun is opposite to Pluto on Thursday right through to the following Tuesday. This is quite interesting, because this can it can bring us great awareness about things that we have inside us that we need to transform. But remember, we've got this opposition, so we've got this tug of war. So it could be kind of like, well, here's Pluto saying, look, this is an area in your life you need to look at, because this is going to aid your transformation. And there's your Sun going, no, I'm just fine as I am, thank you very much. So you might kind of feel that kind of tug between things that you know that you need to address. And there's kind of, we talk about shadow work all the time, those things deep inside you that you need to address, and just feeling like I'm just not going to do it right now because I don't want that pain. But also with Sun opposite Pluto, we can get power struggles as well. We might feel like we need to control areas of our life, and that might give us a power struggle with elements of ourselves, elements of what we're doing, other people. And we can also find that our passions are really driving us. Like, I remember my grandmother always said to me, and I always think of it, that she always said to me, you're passionate, Sarah, and that's your strength and your weakness. And that's very much kind of this energy, like I, as a child, I'm like, I'm passionate, that's great, I'm passionate about things, but that's your weakness too, as well as your strength. I feel like that really is this kind of Sun opposite Pluto feeling, passion being your weakness and your strength, your weakness and your strength.
Well, that's the great thing really about, you're talking about like a little bit of shadow work, and that's really the great thing about shadow work, is that a lot of our shadowy aspects are because we believe something, we are passionate about something. If you're resentful or envious, or me, like sometimes I get defensive, you're defensive because like you believe in something, or like you believe in yourself, and you're finding that you're becoming defensive instead of trying to be real with yourself. And that's one of the points of shadow work, is to find these parts of you that are a little bit shadowy because they're a part of you. They're not going anywhere, you know, like nobody's going to like erase them from your being. But the point is to shift them into a strength. And so that you're aware of them, so that those shadowy aspects of you become a part of like your living self, and your awareness becomes a part of your strength. That's what shadow work is, and it's that shift. And I love this Sun Pluto situation, because yes, there is power in Pluto, there is passion in Pluto, there is destructive qualities in Pluto. And when you think of Pluto too, and you think of, again, like, sorry, the mythology behind Pluto, and it's almost like, yes, there is power and things like that, but there's also like, when you think of like the pantheon, mythologically speaking, Hades or Pluto has a little bit less of like an ego problem than, say, Neptune, you know, Poseidon, and you know, things like that, which is very interesting, because it's almost like, because a lot of times, mythologically speaking, there's no illusions of who he is or like what card he was dealt. He's kind of like, I got the underworld, but at the same time, there's kind of just like a subtle ownership of that. Do you know what I mean? At least in the way that I read it. I'm a weird mythology person, but I like that, because it's kind of like the sun, the ego shining on this kind of this kind of stoic, shadowy space, where like, is ego a part of it or not a part of it? And it's kind of going to be like this very interesting thing, especially with your emotions tied to it and stuff. I'm very interested to see how it works out.
It's going to be interesting, and I think it is like, it's a good time to bring the shadowy aspects into that light, because the light is right in opposition to it, so it's a good time. The light's shining there for sure. The good news this week is that the Sun square Uranus ends. We've had this going on, this like breaking our structures, and a lot of us have been feeling that. It ends this week, but it will be back in December because of retrogrades. It's coming back at the start of December, but we have a bit of a break from it. But it's a good week to think, okay, what structures has that broken down? What has come in my life new because of it, and where do I want that to go by December, because that's the last time in that cycle. The moon this week is going through Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio, and the Leo moon is going to be conjunct with Mars and Venus on Monday. So that's kind of like bringing the intuition and emotional feeling into that kind of confident, fun Leo energy that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. So that's something to look for as well.
I like it. In my head, when you said the moon is touching Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio, I was like, these are a few of my favorite things, because I love, you know, that Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio energy, and that like neck of the woods, astrologically speaking. It's one of my more cozy times.
It is. And this, of course, that Scorpio moon is going to coincide with that time of the sun in opposition to Pluto as well. So that's going to add that little element of Scorpio and Pluto in as well.
Same way. Scorpio, 12th house Pluto, and my Scorpio rising better hold on to their seats.
Yeah. It's going to be good. So I think really kind of overall, it's about boundaries and making sure you don't get lost in other people this week, I think.
Sounds like boundaries. Yep. So that sounds like all good things, boundaries. And yeah, focus on yourself, really. Anything else to add, Sarah?
I think that's it. I think that's a summary of what's going on for this week.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
Speaking of focusing on yourself and having good boundaries and working on shadow work, it's a really great time if you want to join us for Tarot Throwdown, because what is better than to work on yourself and jump into a practice of tarot? For me, it is definitely a shadow work tool. I do a lot of journaling and reflection on my cards, and in Tarot Throwdown we go over all of that, and it is available now for you to enroll in if you'd like. It's super fantastic. TarotThrowdown.com. And we are, facing off with some boundaries and sensitivity this week, some good things happening. Check out Cancer and Pisces in your chart and see where a lot of this stuff is happening for you. And thank you for joining Sarah and I on this episode of the Astro Forecast of the Magic on the Inside podcast. And we hope you have an enchanted rest of your day.
Absolutely.
Ahead.